It's 9 p.m. and we are back here on
How to Ace Your Career.
So guys, every time we've been coming here and we've been helping you to grow in your career by coming and sharing with you what you can do probably when you have a toxic boss, whether you're stuck in a career, whether you're not getting the promotion that you want, you are looking for a dream job, anything and everything related to growing in your career, especially for mid-age people with 12 to 15 plus years of experience. Why can we do this? Who are we? Well, I'm Nuthan. I'm a career and a life coach, and I coach mid-age professionals towards growth in their career and have an amazing and happy life.
Yep, I'm Dheeraj. I'm a life coach, business coach, and a relationship coach. And both of us together, we create this company, ND Life Coaching.
And today you're going to enjoy this because I've just had a haircut yesterday.
Yep.
And I'm going to be in a bad shape, so I'll keep doing this. Please bear with me. But today we are not going to talk about growth. Today we are going to talk about what can come in the way of your growth and how does it really impact your career, your relationship, your health and life in general. I was just amazed by the research that I went through and the data that I collected. And that is why I thought that this time it is not about helping, it's about becoming aware of this problem. Is this problem existing in my life? And if it is existing, how great can be that impact?
In short, what we are going to talk about today is just not a solution, but the first step to cure anything, to come out anything, change everything, is to identify or diagnose. And that's what we're going to do today.
And this we have never done before.
Yeah.
So maybe you will feel, why this? But believe me, the first thing that change happens is when I become aware of how it's really impacting my life. So
let's start.
Yes.
The career killer. Okay. We call it the career killer, which means how procrastination undermines your success and life balance. Whether viewed as an occasional behavior or a chronic behavioral tendency, procrastination is a common form of self-regulation failure that is linked to negative outcomes. Procrastination is often defined as the voluntary and unnecessarily delay in the start or completion of important and intended tasks, despite recognizing there will be harmful consequences for oneself and others for doing so.
Yet the harms from procrastination are not just limited to those involving productivity. Research over the past decades, 2 decades, has documented that procrastination can have wide-ranging negative consequences on health and well-being of a person, especially when it is a chronic behavioral pattern. For example, procrastination is associated with higher level of stress. It uses less of adaptive coping strategies, poor health behaviors, and poor quality of sleep, which in turn gives rise to much greater number of physical illness and symptoms. How can procrastination affect relationship? Is it really possible? Of course it is possible, and in many ways. Let's delve into one by one. The first one is
difficulty in connecting. Procrastination can make it hard to connect with your partner and can lead to neglecting their emotional needs.
Now imagine a woman going through this when a husband is having difficulty in connecting, the relationship is almost dead. Then, of course, one very important thing, procrastination makes it impossible to deal with conflicts and it leads to even more defensive arguments. So instead of just sitting and resolving conflicts, you get into the defensive mode, and when you get into that zone, there is nothing but just arguments.
As per conflict is concerned, we keep ignoring the pattern that we are seeing, and one fine day it reaches to an end of the relationship. The third thing that can affect in your relationship is your intimacy. As Tony Robbins always says, that 95% of our happiness comes from our intimate relationship. And procrastination can make it difficult to be close and intimate with your partner.
Then, of course, communication. The communication which can flow easily becomes absolutely difficult when you're procrastinating in relationships. Interpersonal communication really suffers for a procrastination. And that leads to, obviously, lack interest in that relationship. It makes your partner feel unimportant, uncared for, ignored, and that leads to further lack of trust and resentment.
And when there is no trust, naturally you don't have great relationship. That leads to the next thing, that we all reach a state of isolation. People who procrastinate often reach a state that they avoid talking to friends, family, going for any events, delaying the meetups, and that finally reach that they can feel isolated.
And then, of course, one amazing feeling that these procrastinators continuously go through is guilt. Feeling of guilt because you know you have not been able to do things that you were supposed to do, and then that also means that you have let down others who are important to you, and they include your loved ones, they include your peer circle, they include your seniors whom you should have not let down, but people who matter to you. So constant feeling of guilt, and obviously, like Dheeraj just mentioned, which again furthers isolation.
Like, I'll give you a classic example. Yesterday night, I told my sister to just find out a number on someone and communicate. It's really important. She could not do it, and tonight, I of course I found out and I did it. But she called me just at 8:30, saying that, Bhaiya, I'm so sorry that just did not get time and I just could not do it. So because of this procrastination, end of the day, she let me down. That's what she was feeling. I of course did the work, but she was feeling so guilty. So procrastination also can be a sign which can build insecurity. Very, very important to understand. It builds insecurity. Then low self-confidence. I've seen a lot of people who lack confidence because you build confidence by doing something every day.
Absolutely.
Okay. Now you're not doing something every day, so you don't feel confident. And fear of failure. Oh my God, that is one of the huge thing that happens. That idea only feeling, I'm not trying only, I'm not doing it only. These feelings can lead to cover up weaknesses, which can threaten your spouse's reputation and make you feel vulnerable in your relationship.
So, which means what? That your procrastination is also damaging your spouse's reputation. For example, he's committed something to someone else, and I don't live up to that expectation. By default, his reputation goes down because he couldn't fulfill the commitment that he has made to someone who matters in his life. Now, let's try and find out how procrastination also creates a negative impact on your career. The first thing that it does, it restricts your potential. You were capable of probably becoming a CEO, a CXO, an MD, probably a director in some MNC, but that potential gets reduced because of your constant procrastination. It undermines your career and disrupts your goal. And you know what happens because of that? It leads to lower morale, and sometimes you actually lose up your job.
So time management. If you procrastinate, there's always challenge with managing time. Procrastination can lead to missing your deadlines. Okay, and what happens? And that backlog starts becoming more and more, and an unfinished tasks. Your filing increases. It piles up, piles up, piles up. Okay,
it's reminding me of the desk of government officers
Yeah.
before the so-called man Modi came in.
And the digital world.
Yes, if you would walk into a government office and you would say hello, you wouldn't find that person because he was dug into the files which were actually falling all over his table.
Now, the more this increases, the more your effectiveness goes low. You don't feel great of doing something. You procrastinate more, and finally, that makes it harder to manage your time effectively.
Then of course you miss on time. What do I mean? Procrastination can lead to loss of precious time which can't be regained. When you're procrastinating, you may be sitting right in front of the laptop, you're looking at the screen, but you're not reading what is there on the screen. You're not working on what is seen, whether it's an email which has to be activated, whether it's some notification which you need to respond. It's just there, but you're not there. You're into your own loop. And that is how you miss on the time. When you do that, you also miss out on the opportunities that come with time. To avoid these negative effects, you will have to learn to fight procrastination. What else can happen by procrastination?
Wasting time. Okay, one of the biggest things that you do is we waste time. Like, I know Afsan. He is brilliant. He's intelligent in what he does. So he knows that he can just finish stuff in 1 hour. And that's why he keeps procrastinating, and he's wasting so much of time. But end of the day, he says, you know what? I just completed the work in an hour. I said, imagine that 6 hours that you procrastinated, how much more you could have done. Procrastinating can cause you to spend time on less important activities, that is phone, Facebook, Instagram. I know what all people keep watching, leaving you with less time to actually complete your important task, something that you've been really paid for, or valued for, or respected for. For example, if you procrastinate on assessment tasks, your work will be less accurate and the content may be of lower quality. And that's why you will wonder, why did the boss not like it? You will not get promotion, you will not grow, and end of the day, you'll feel miserable.
Of course, procrastination also causes bottlenecks. If you procrastinate in the workplace, you can delay tasks, which is natural outflow of procrastinating, and that results that other people need to do your work. They come to help you. Now, this can lead to bottlenecks in the workflow, which can cause frustration, resentment, and anxiety for others. For example, my report has to reach my boss, who's going to collate reports of people like me in different teams, and that is got stopped because I couldn't finish my report on time, or I finish it at the last moment. So I become a bottleneck for their entire workflow. What's going to happen? All the others are going to be so frustrated with me. They'll resent me because it's building their anxiety, because that report is important equally for them and for the boss.
Yep. It can also cause a lot of negative emotions. Generally, procrastination leads to stress, anxiety, and finally leads to depression. And all because there is no motivation. It reaches a state that absolutely zero motivation to do anything. And that is why it also leads to I'm not good enough, that self doubt. And it makes others question your commitment and loyalty.
And you would be wondering that I'm giving my best. Why are they questioning my loyalty? I didn't waste any time. I was out there for 12 hours. I would come back home and work. I don't know why people don't understand that. But that is because of those emotions that you're going through, and that reduces your efficiency by default. Now, when we say that it's affecting your relationship, it's affecting your career, by default, it is going to affect your life itself.
So first thing that affects your life is stress. When you put off tasks until the last minute, you may feel rushed, overwhelmed, and you are unable to focus. This can lead to a poor quality work, miss your deadline, and a backlog of unfinished tasks, which increases so much of stress. And stress is one of the biggest reason for major and critical illnesses.
Absolutely correct. Then, of course, we remain distracted. And when we remain distracted, by default, we reduce our productivity. And when you reduce your productivity, the side tasks that were not important, that could be done in smaller little time, you start focusing on that and you miss on important tasks, which means, like I said, my spouse had committed to something. He couldn't fulfill his commitment because I couldn't manage that important task. And because that happened, our relationship spoils. And by default, my life goes into that negative loop.
Absolutely. And one thing that thousands of people are going through because of procrastination is one common emotion, anxiety.
Absolutely true.
Oh my God, of late the medicines are also not easily available. There's so much of anxiety people are going through, and procrastination is one of the reasons that when we procrastinate things we are supposed to do, we keep avoiding, we keep avoiding, we keep avoiding, we keep avoiding. Now the time comes, if you remember that monster that we spoke about, and that monster starts screaming in any, and that anxiety is built, and that builds fear and worry, and you're actually whatever you could do, you're not even able to do that. That's what it builds so much of anxiety.
And there's one more challenge with these people who procrastinate. The reason could be, I want my work to be perfect. But there is no such standard called as perfect. And that unnecessarily builds so much of fear that you're not able to do even normal things, because everything starts from whether I'll be able to do it, will it be good enough, what will people say when they see it. That unnecessary challenge, that you just don't deliver things, and it definitely impacts all the others whom you have given your commitment.
So let us give you some data here, and all thanks to her and the team, the research that has been done. My God, the first thing, about 20% of adults identify themselves as chronic procrastinators.
Procrastination is the cause of 20% of business failures.
Oh God, now this is for all the kids out there, for all your kids who are in the college who are studying and in the 10th standard. 80 to 95% students, especially college, procrastinate on their academic work.
So I remember, one of our company which we are involved in is about sending students abroad.
Yeah.
And I see the people who are associated with these children to get things done, they are so frustrated because they keep pushing the kid and the kid just doesn't want to deliver things on time. They just keep procrastinating because they don't feel it is important.
Procrastination affects 20% of the population. Can you believe 20% of the population is procrastinating? What's going to be the future of that country itself?
50% people report that procrastination makes them feel guilty.
Oh God, procrastination also is leading cause of missing the deadlines in their workplace.
46% of people procrastinate on tasks that they consider is unpleasant or something that they don't enjoy.
Procrastination is associated with two absolutely major illnesses, and that is stress and anxiety, which cause huge major in physical illnesses like heart attack, blood pressure, and so many organs failing is all because of stress and anxiety.
70% of students report that procrastination has negatively impacted their grades. Do you agree to this?
Oh, why much?
Procrastination can lead to increased health problems like insomnia and digestive issues. You may say that I'm not being able to sleep well, but sleep is not the problem. Your procrastination is leading to a situation where you don't feel that you can sleep peacefully. And by default, that also creates challenges in your digestion.
20% of people identify themselves as severe procrastinators, which means they just don't do anything. They just keep procrastinating, and procrastinating.
Procrastination is estimated to cost billions of dollars annually to business. So if you want to see the bottom line and there is a miss, chances is that can be connected to procrastination of the employees who are working there.
Absolutely. And also, procrastination is linked to lower job performance and satisfaction. And 25% of the adults procrastinate on important financial decisions.
Should I save? Should I invest? Should I spend? This much money is there. What do I do with that money? Should I invest it on myself? And they just keep thinking and thinking.
And the bank and the money is lying in saving account in 2% of interest, and then finally it is there only.
Absolutely correct. Of course, like we heard, procrastination leads to relationship problems and unmet expectations, which the spouse cannot deal with. There's one more important understanding that has come out from this data, and that is what is the tool by which procrastination has increased. And all of us know that it is internet.
Procrastination rates are high with people who spend average 2 hours per day on procrastination. That's average, 2 hours per day.
So this procrastination is especially pronounced, increased, because people spend average 50% of their time online procrastinating. You're thinking you want to do something and all of a sudden you want to use Google and to deal with that even more. And then that opens up another link and you go on, and something which you wanted to do, which could have finished in 15 minutes, now you start Googling. Thanks to ChatGPT, now that has become even more a reason for you to go and procrastinate instead of just putting a single small little line or two.
This tendency, especially strong with people who are at home, they spend an average almost 1 hour 15 minutes per day procrastinating.
And this is not only affecting adults, but it's also affecting children.
Yes.
Now, we all would like to know, how does procrastination happen at workplace? Is it really happening? The truth is, 1 out of 5 workers are actually delaying their task because of procrastination. 88% of people working postpone their task by at least 1 hour a day.
Well, if you see workplace procrastination examples like,
I've been hearing this, but of
yeah,
course, let's just share this right as we have decided.
we've all been there before. You are at work, you're staring at a blank screen or an empty Word document, and you can't seem to get started on that project. That's due in a few hours. Or maybe you're avoiding a difficult conversation with your boss. Whatever the case may be, we all experience workplace procrastination at one point or another. Here are 5 common examples of work life procrastination.
So, people sitting and checking personal email or social media while they are at work. You know why? Because it's so easy to get distracted by these personal matters when you don't want to focus on something which is not really of your choice. You don't enjoy doing it, or probably it's so tough that you don't want to look at that. So you end up spending time checking your personal email or looking at your own social media when you're actually supposed to be working.
Working on low priority tasks. I can give you a class here. There's a company that we are coaching, and few of the employees who are salespeople are supposed to do calling, which is so important.
That's the only thing they're supposed
In
to do.
spite of that, they are seeing operation issues, they are focusing on infrastructure, they are focusing on something which is irrelevant, which is nothing to do with their job. It's somebody else's job, but that's what they do. And they are always running what is urgent, because they don't do what is important, it becomes urgent. And that's how they keep working on low priority tasks, and they realize, then why is it that I did not achieve my targets? Because you didn't do the calling.
Putting off difficult tasks. Avoiding difficult tasks is a common form of procrastination, and it's often easier to work on simpler tasks. But you know what happens because of that? The most difficult tasks, which are most important, they are left undone.
Okay, one common thing I've seen when I was working, okay, in the company, one very common thing, rather two things. Chalna chai peene chalte hain. Yeah, sutta marne chalte hain. And what do? They go and chat with their co-workers. So much of time goes, at least in a day, I've seen people spend it. As a salesperson, I used to always work for 8 hours, but 8 hours I was working. And I used to be, lot of them, hours and hours, they're just chatting with their co-workers, either drinking, they're cutting chai or smoking. That's what keeps happening.
And because of that, obviously, you start taking lengthy breaks. And where 10 minutes you would have gone, had a cup of tea and come, which is probably your time for tea, you actually extend it for an hour. For half an hour, the lunch which was supposed to be for half an hour, it ends up becoming 1 hour. And when you come back, you're so lost that you cannot focus on your work. It takes time to really get back. Aren't these figures really very scary? Well, they were for me, because I didn't think that procrastination was such a big challenge. I didn't know that so many people are affected from it. But believe me, I have been doing this research for almost a month that we are following this topic, and we are coming back and sharing this with you in different ways, and have been sharing solutions in different ways that you can understand and become simpler. But it's really scary, because these numbers are so huge. It is such a widespread phenomena, and it is impacting not only your work, but it's impacting your relationship, and it is impacting your health. And now, all of you who are attending us live, I want to ask you a very important question. I want you to sit and think, when was the last time that procrastination cost you an important opportunity? Again, I would want to repeat, when was the last time that procrastination cost you an important opportunity of growth in your career?
How does procrastination affect your stress level? I repeat, how does procrastination affect your stress level? Please write down later, and all those people who are watching, you can pause, you can write, and then move ahead. So, pain point visualization.
So, you know what? Now that you know that I missed, probably if I would have done that additional task while I was going through everything else, my boss would have thought about me being his successor and not my peer. Has it happened to you?
Yeah.
Or probably you were wanting to be healthy, you got an opportunity, you've gotten married, like we got married quite late, but instead of enjoying life, going out there, traveling for vacations, you're actually sitting at home taking care of your health. Has this ever happened to you? How many times it has happened that just because you couldn't finish that task on time, you came back home and you felt so miserable? Has it ever happened that because you have been doing repeatedly the same thing, that's made you lose your confidence in yourself? And because of that, finally, what happens is you get isolated. You don't want to meet people. You know why? Because the minute you'll be there around people, you will start experiencing all those emotions of feeling unworthy, feeling unfulfilled, feeling, and that creates that feeling that he doesn't love me anymore, she doesn't love me anymore, they don't feel I'm important. But it's not about those people doing this to you.
So true.
You are doing this to yourself. Just imagine all this when it is happening, what's happening to you internally. So, dear friends, procrastination is a thief of your potential. Something which you could have done, achieved, created, you couldn't because you have got used to procrastination. It's a thief of your time. I hear people saying this all the time. I could do this, but I don't have time. Do you really realize how much time you've spent on that thing? Do you really look at your digital well-being? I'm so thankful that someone has created that tool in that box which says you spend so much time scrolling aimlessly. And by default, when you know you've lost time, when you know you could accomplish something which you wanted to do, when you know that I could have done this, been here, but I left here because I couldn't use my time, I couldn't focus on things which were important. It makes you comfortable in that moment, but it brought you stagnation in your career. It strained your relationships. And at the end of the day, at the end moment of your life, all what is left is regrets. So if you don't want to regret, if you don't want to have this feeling of anxious, feeling stressed, feeling lonely, isolating you from people who matter to you, if you want to grow in your career, then, dear friends, it's very, very important for you to fight this monster which is right behind you in the shadow, and it's taking away all the joy and happiness of your life.
So I have a good news for all the people out there who want to grow, who want to achieve, who want to fulfill their dream, who want to make it big, but because of procrastination, they are not able to do. This is for all these people. The good news is that we are having a workshop that's tomorrow at 4 p.m. on procrastination. What is procrastination and how to overcome this? I can promise you, if you attend this, this will help you to identify, because anything to change, you need to identify, and it will help you to identify, and also it will give you tools and techniques that how can you fight procrastination and go out there and achieve what you want to achieve.
So don't procrastination. No more further procrastination. I will put up a link in the comment section. Don't go there and overthink. Don't procrastination. Just click the link and join us tomorrow at 4 p.m. And believe me, friends, if you attend that workshop, if you know that you have suffered through all of this that we just shared, it will make a difference in your life.
Absolutely. It's just 499 rupees. I can promise you it worth thousands of rupees as compared to what you're paying. And you can also join our WhatsApp community where people who've joined at only 999 are getting this free every month, these beautiful workshops. So once again, thank you so much, all of you. See you again on next Friday on
How to Ace Your Career.